When I was a kid, my parents used to take me on car trips around Europe, and it turned out to be one of the brightest family experiences that I have until now. There's something magical in packing into a small car and going wherever you plan to go, even if it's thousands of kilometers away, and you go on your own speed with whoever you want, and you stop whatever you want, and you get to choose your own music. So that sounded like a pure freedom to me. And fast forward to now, a little less than a year ago, I moved to France. I'm now 30 years old, and the single best decision that I've made since moving here is buying my own car. Let's go! On and on, it's a beautiful life. When I laugh, when I cry, it's a beautiful life. On, it's a beautiful life. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is my car. It's a 2009 Fiat Panda, and I'm happy to be the third owner of this baby. This car is 15 years old and it only has 130k kilometers on it, which is pretty crazy. Now the reason that I first showed you this side is because on the right it's missing the wheel caps. Is it wheel caps? I don't really know the word. Let's just assume it's wheel caps. I still haven't bought it, and to my opinion it does ruin the look a little bit, but it is what it is. I don't care. Buying this car was a whole another story. So when I saw the ad for the car, I was surprised how cheap it was. So I reached out to the owner and I asked, okay, what's wrong with the car? And they said, nothing. It's just one wheel missing because we parked it outside and someone stole it. I thought, weird. And since the car was in Marseille while I was in Lyon, I had to travel there, and I also had to find a wheel somewhere. And it turns out that it is really hard to find wheels for Fiat Panda because they do have a specific mount. To be honest, I'm still surprised how I figured this out, because check this out. I've booked a BlaBlaCar to a nearby city where I found the wheel early in the morning, and I bought the wheel earlier than I bought the car. So I took the wheel with me to another BlaBlaCar, which got me to Marseille, where the car was. Man, when I told my friends about it, they said, are you crazy? What if you didn't like the car? And I said, F it, man! What do you mean? Well, lucky for me, the family of the owner was so nice. And I had to spend the whole day in their house because of the paperwork that was involved in selling a car that she basically inherited. And they have an amazing Moroccan family. I shared dinner with them. We spent some time together. We talked a lot, even though they speak so little English and I barely speak French. And buying this car was more of an experience, spending time with this family. So I paid for this car 1,250 euros, and I didn't even bargain because of how nice and helpful the family was and how much they really helped me with all this paperwork. And they even invited me for dinner. Like, how could I bargain here? Damn, you know when you were a kid and you watched Top Gear, we were all dreaming one day to be Jeremy Clarkson and film a report on the car? Damn, I think this is my day because I genuinely enjoy it. So by this time, you should have already bought this car from me, because I don't know what else to say. This is just an amazing vehicle and I really, really love it. And obviously this video is not only about the car. The car is just a tool for living your dream, basically. And when I made my list of values, like what do I value in this life, freedom was the top one. But when I looked at that word, it felt strange to me. It felt so cheesy. Like, yeah, freedom, whatever. What is it? The freedom to make a tattoo on your shoulder or to pierce your ear? I don't know. It sounded very like 20-ish maximalist vibe, you know? So I wanted to dissect what exactly that means to me. And I quickly figured out that it's basically living where you want to live, doing what you want to do, and not having to do anything that you don't want to do. And that doesn't mean that I don't get shit done. You know, sometimes We all gotta wash dishes. Generally speaking, and having my own car and being able to move around the country or even the continent freely is definitely something that is true to me. One of the first car trips that we've done when I bought this car was to Côte d'Azur. It was a crazy experience because knowing how glamorous and how posh and expensive this place is, we wanted to see it all, but we obviously couldn't afford staying in these luxurious hotels and sipping margaritas at the beach. So we had to find out a better way to do it. So my original idea was to hide somewhere on the beach and stay in the tent. And we arrived to Antibes, which is still my favorite place on all Côte d'Azur. And we found this beautiful beach that is called the Billionaires Bay, apparently because a lot of billionaires have villas around there. And we've spent there the whole day swimming around, enjoying the place. And when it was time to find the place for a tent, I quickly searched around and found like a very discreet spot just 50 meters from the sea. And we decided to stay there for a night. So we've set up the tent and went to sleep. And as soon as we laid down, I immediately started hearing some noises. As soon as we laid down, started falling asleep, I heard something running just on the side of my tent. Because it wasn't like a mouse or something. It felt more like a rabbit, or I don't even know. But it felt way bigger than something that I could ignore. Also, my wife on the side was pretty scared, and we also took our dog, which started barking at the noise. So I had to stand up from my tent, use my iPhone light, and pretend like I'm an alpha male defending my family, wearing only my underwear. Who's this? So I shouted, and it was silent. And then we went back to sleep, and then a few times more there were some weird noises. So the quality of the sleep wasn't very good, to be honest. And I woke up at around 6 a.m. and immediately went on to have a sunrise swim, which was amazing. So for the next 3 days we ended up staying at a hotel. But that story of spending a night at a Billionaires Bay in a tent, this is the story that I'm gonna tell my kids and hopefully grandkids. This is what we live for, right? For those stories. That's the only thing that is gonna still be with you when you're old. Apart from our journey to Côte d'Azur, we've also made a lot of day trips, and one of them was to Geneva. It was a pretty sunny day, a mountain road, a great mood. Also, we've met a caravan of these old cars along the road. It was pretty interesting to look at. As for Geneva itself, it was pretty windy, nevertheless beautiful, and to me, it looked like a baby of Berlin and St. Petersburg, because it also has this huge body of water in the center of the city. Pretty unforgettable. And then 4 months ago, we've moved from Lyon to Biarritz, which is basically crossing throughout all France from east to west. And this baby, my Panda, delivered us perfectly. Speaking of my life in Biarritz, it's such a different experience from what I'm used to. It's a sunny day today, and it's definitely making my mood better. Going to get coffee in my favorite Deus Biarritz. Definitely has a more village vibe to it, and the ocean is the ocean. Like, I'm speechless here. I first tried surfing when I was 21 years old, and since then I knew that someday I'm gonna live by the ocean. I'm gonna surf every day, and this is what I do now. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. I used to live in St. Petersburg for 10 years of my life, and I remember every winter I used to stay home basically all day, every day, because the weather is so shitty, and it just sucks, man. Like, there's nothing much to say about it. It just sucks, and you have to like endure it. And I don't want to endure anything in my life that I don't choose to endure, you know? So This was one of the things that I choose not to endure but to change. And it's crazy how everything is doable, you know? Like, I surfed this morning. My hair is probably still wet a little bit. Honestly, I'm making this video to anyone who is currently unhappy with their life, living in a middle of nowhere and thinking like, oh this sucks so much, but everyone around me seems to be okay with it, you know? That's how I felt in Russia, to be honest. It's like, yeah, that sucks, but you live here. You cannot change anything. F that, bro. I can move and find a better place for myself. That's the whole message of this video. And buying a car actually contributed to that idea, because ever since I got this baby, I was free to go anywhere. Bro, I'm now in the middle of Spain. We're approaching Bilbao, and I'm watching these beautiful pines, and I'm driving through these hills. How lucky I am to experience this. This is something that I try to tell myself more, because I definitely need to appreciate all of that. It felt definitely way harder when I used to sit in my rented room in St. Petersburg. But there's nothing unmanageable, you know? And it's crazy. It's crazy how I limited myself. There's nothing in the world was limiting me as much as I limited myself. That's the craziest part. So if you are unhappy with where you are at, just know that you can change it at any time. It probably won't happen in one day, since most of us who are not lucky to be born in America or Europe have to get visas there. That's probably was the hardest part for me to figure out, but it's still possible. It is. So please don't think that it's too hard for you, or you are not meant to do it. If there is a thought in your head that, oh, that would be cool, don't ever stop yourself.